Thank you, Senator Hensley, for sitting down with me today.
My pleasure.
We're right in the middle of this special session on school vouchers and illegal immigration and flood relief and all that fun stuff. But today I wanted to specifically talk with you about the school voucher legislation. Could you just give me a brief synopsis of your thoughts on it, how you're feeling about it?
Well, what the bill does, it provides 20,000 scholarships for students to take and go to a private school if they're not being adequately educated where they are. 10,000 students go to low-income families. 10,000 students are general, just go to the general public. They're just open for applications. Then the program can grow 5,000 every year if it's got at least 75% of the scholarships taken up in the previous year. The bill also provides a $2,000 bonus for every teacher in the state. It also provides funds for facilities and school maintenance, and the program is there to give children that are in a school where they're not receiving a good education, gives them an opportunity to go to another school. That's where and this would be strictly up to the parents. It's nothing required of anybody. They can access the program if they choose. If they choose to stay where they are, then nothing will affect them. So this is all about, in my mind, about parental choice, about students having an option. In a lot of counties, they may not even have another option. In a lot of rural counties, the public schools are great schools and students won't want to leave. But some of the cities and other places, a student may be zoned to a school that's not providing a good education. So this just gives that child another option to go to a different school.
And you represent quite the stretch of areas, so I think you've got plenty of rural and plenty of not so rural in your district.
I represent Murray County and Marshall, Giles, and Lewis County, and then Spring Hill and Williamson County. So certainly Murray County is more, they have private schools. Marshall County and Giles County and Lewis County don't have private schools. There's some in adjoining counties that a student could potentially go to. But this program would provide $7,000, a little bit over $7,000 for a student to go to a private school, and that would apply to tuition. And then if there was any money left over, they could use it for other school-related expenses, transportation, books, uniforms, any education-related expense. But the money doesn't go to the student or the parent. It goes to the school and then into a fund where they can spend it on educational expenses.
And the fiscal note on this came out, I guess, last week.
Right.
And a lot of people on the more conservative side of things, at least fiscally, are a bit concerned about it because it's got about a $350 million price tag for the first year, and then it bumps down to just under $200 million for subsequent years. You're on the Senate Finance Committee, correct? Yeah. How do you kind of justify the expense?
Well, that first year's expense, the majority of that is the teacher bonus, which is about $200 million, $198 million or so, is for the one-time $2,000 bonus that each teacher receives. So after the first year, we won't have the $200 million, and the voucher program or the voucher expense is about $145 million for the first year, which we've already put that money in the budget this year that we didn't spend. So it will be there next year, about $145 million. The program will increase, and it projected to be about $180 million next year for the vouchers. But that would be the only other cost. Plus, we're moving money from the sports wagering fund. We passed a bill several years ago and made online sports betting in Tennessee. So that money now goes to the lottery, but the bill moves 80% of that over to a fund that would go to help school facilities and school maintenance. So that's about $77 million. But that money's coming from the lottery and from sports wagering. It's not coming from the general fund. So looking at that as a cost is a different cost than what the general fund would be. So going forward in the future, we're just looking at the cost of the vouchers themselves, which the second year projected to be about $180 to $185 million.
Now, the transfer of the sports betting money and stuff like that to the school building improvement fund, how is that going to affect the things that the lottery already funds?
Well, the lottery funds Tennessee Promise. It funds mainly Hope scholarships for higher education. So we have a significant reserve in the Tennessee Promise funds. And actually, we don't need to put any more money into the Tennessee Promise because we have adequate funds to fund that going forward. The lottery funds, we're going to have to watch that and see if there's any decrease in that we may have to move this money back into the lottery. So if that happened in the future, the bill does allow that to be moved back into the lottery funds if those funds become insignificant or inefficient to fund the lottery program. Because we certainly want to fund that first with the Hope Scholarship.
So that would be something that if things kind of went a little wonky in the future, future General Assemblies would come back and
future general. Actually, the bill already designates that so much money would go back into the lottery funds.
Okay, if that were to happen.
If that were to happen. And this money strictly goes to school facilities and school maintenance and really to help at-risk counties, distressed counties, counties where they've had a natural disaster. Like in East Tennessee, those counties would get preference for funding to help them with facilities.
And so through this bill, even the rural communities that might not so much benefit from the school vouchers because maybe they don't have any private schools around them, et cetera, they'd still be able to benefit from this school building fund? Sure,
yes. And they would get the first choice. The at-risk counties and the rural counties would get the first choice at that money. And that fund is going to be handled by the treasurer. So there will be grants set up, and the treasurer will be handling that part of the bill going forward. So that will help public schools.
All right, and then my last question for you, and I'll let you go. How does the funding structure for all of this? How do you see that impacting local governments? Like what do they have to do to hold up all of this?
Well, local governments have to fund a certain percentage of the public schools, and that shouldn't change. The schools are held harmless over the first few years. If they lose enrollment, they're guaranteed that the state will make up the difference of what they lost. And so local governments will still fund their portion of the education budget, and that shouldn't change going forward.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.